Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Today I thought I'd make a best and worst defenders operating video for Rainbow Six Siege. This is to help newer players decide on who to pick first, like who to buy first that is, and for more experienced players to perhaps try operators they wouldn't use so much in the past or didn't like so much, because as of 3.4 changes have been made to operators, they've been nerfed, they've been buffed over the past few months, and I feel now's a good time to make this sort of video to help players out. I know that maybe at the end of this month, maybe next month, we could see two more updates. I think it's the Brazilian CTU, but I thought I'd make this now and then maybe update this in the future, maybe when the last operators have come out. But I'll be separating these into three tiers, which is gold, silver and bronze. Gold is the best must-have defenders. Silver is the more specific operators, the middle tier, and then bronze is the worst of the worst that I would not use. So I'll jump into gold first and go from there. So first up for the gold tier is Valkyrie. She's easily one of the best operators for the defending side. She has 4 black eye cameras that can be placed anywhere on the map and outside of the building that you are defending. And she easily has one of the best shotguns in the game. Whilst I think her MPX is a hit marker machine, it is insanely accurate, so those who are a good shot are rewarded with easy headshots. With Valkyrie, you want to place cameras in spots around the objective room and in high traffic areas such as outside the garage door on Consulate or on the tree outside Master Bedroom's side stairs in Hereford. I myself like to place at least one in the objective room, so whenever someone is left holding the room on their own trying to clutch or whatever, they can have help from their teammates, so they can see the entrances or just outside the door, so they can tell them what door they're peeking or trying to approach. So for the more experienced players, you can be creative and place a camera in the room above you and have a C4 waiting on the ceiling of the room you're in, so when an enemy walks over it, you can detonate it and kill the enemy above. It's probably the most rewarding kill you're going to get with Valkyrie. In second place is Rook. This guy has been one of my favourite operators since the launch, so sorry if I sound biased, I'll try not to, but he's not exactly anything special, and I think that's what I like about Rook. He's plain and simple, and his gadget is not fancy, so that's probably why you don't see him picked by many people, despite him having one of the highest pick rates. When I play, I honestly do not see him picked by many opposing teams, and I'm usually the guy that will pick him on our team. But his gadget is an armor pack, which basically is Juggernaut from COD 4, if you remember that. But it's not overpowered nor annoying in this game because it's literally one shot to the head that will kill you in this game. It doesn't protect you from one shots, it just gives you like another layer of health, so you'll go from a light armoured operator to a medium armoured operator from equipping this, and so on and so forth. But his weapons, as for his weapons, I would only say use the MP5 and an optic of your choice. A lot of people run ACOGs if they're confident enough with their accuracy. I don't, because I like to get more to close to medium range and not sit back so much with the MP5. So if you're confident at range, then use the ACOG, but I would say use holographic or the little reflex one. The way you want to play with this guy is you don't want to roam, you want to sit in the objective room, place down the deployable shield, hunker down and let the enemies come to you. I'd say Rook's very good for that because he can take a lot of punishment and you can just keep peeking and returning fire as long as you're not getting shot in the head. So in third place is Smoke, and this is an operator that I didn't originally rate very highly, and that's because when I first started playing I did not like his weapons, and call me an idiot, I thought his Smoke would be good for killing, like, oh, gas grenades, let's try and kill him with this. And it is the most humiliating thing when you're killed by it because it's so easy to dodge, but it's hilarious when you get kills with it because it's basically one big cheese puff cloud, and it's like, how the hell did you not dodge that? But I would say this guy, along with Castle, can be the best, maybe even better than Castle, can be the best at holding down the fort. So it gets to like the last minute, 30 seconds, and you're being pushed. It's like 4 versus 1. It's just an overwhelming force compared to who's defending. And he is really good at keeping them at bay. You want to throw them at the doors when they're pushing you, and hopefully you've got teammates on the cameras so they can tell you where they're coming from. It makes it a lot easier. So when they're pushing you, you want to gas the entrances, their way into the room. So you keep them at bay. They won't run through it, and if they run through it, you can just quickly pick them off because they'll be on lower health, and they won't see you, and you'll see them before they catch you. So yeah, what I like to do is on the last minute or the last 45 seconds is stagger them out. So throw one, and then detonate it, and then wait another 10 seconds, and then throw it again and again. You only have 3, so you have to be very, very specific and make sure you know where you're going to throw these when it comes down to those last 30 seconds. So onto the weapons. He has the FMG9, which is an SMG, which is incredibly good with a high fire rate and a small magazine, so it downs people really quickly. It does have a bit of kick, but as long as you're accurate and you can land all your bullets, you'll down them quickly. And if you're a good shot, you can just get headshots for days with this gun. And his shotgun, which is his second primary, is the 591A1 shotgun, which compared to the other shotguns really isn't all that great. It's a hitmarker machine, to be fair. It's rare that I get kills with this gun, and it's really frustrating to use, considering it's like one of the only pump actions in the game. I would have thought it would do a bit more damage and have a bit more range on it because its fire rate's so slow. But yeah, onto his secondaries. I'm not going to talk about the pistol because every SAS operator has this pistol, but I will talk about the secondary machine pistol, which is the Mach 11. And a couple of patches ago, this thing was a beast. People would run this with an ACOG sight and snipe people, even snipe Glaz. It had like very little recoil, but now it has a bit more recoil and slower centering speed, so it will take it a lot longer to go down to its original state after firing a shot, so it will take a bit longer for the recoil to reset. But if you're accurate and you want to use the ACOG sight, you can snipe people. I do sometimes use it still, but I'm not so confident with my accuracy over range, especially with high fire rate and medium to high recoil guns. So I prefer to use like a red dot on it or something like that. And number 4 is Bandit. He has an MP7 which has a fast fire rate and very little recoil, accompanied with a rather large magazine size, which also has probably one of the best and clearest iron sights in the game, which I wouldn't actually recommend you use any optics other than maybe the ACOG, because the fast fire rate accompanied with very low recoil, you can use this gun to snipe. I've seen a lot of people do it, but it's not my playstyle, so I don't personally use it. I much prefer to use, say, the iron sights or maybe even the holographic, but that's just me. But then his other primary weapon is the M870 shotgun, which is a pump action shotgun, but it has to be one of my favourite shotguns in the game. Combined with Bandit's speed, he can be incredible at flanking the enemy and getting up behind them and just back raging them like mad. It has pretty good range. It's like pretty effective up to medium range, where most of the time it 2-shots. I would say most of the time it does 2-shot in the back, and it actually has a surprisingly fast fire rate for a pump action shotgun. But that's not the reason people use Bandit, and the reason people do use Bandit is the CED1 Shockwire, which is his gadget. So you can place these against barbed wires, deployable shields, reinforced walls, and what it does, it will electrify the wall or the surface it's placed against. And you really want to do this so that it can destroy the gadget or the drones that come into contact with it, or disrupt thermite charges. So a tip for Bandit, and this usually comes in handy mostly in the garage on House, the garage on Consulate, and the garage on Chalet. You can probably see a recurring theme there, is that you sit next to the reinforced wall with a gadget and listen out for thermite when he's outside your door, and wait for him to plant. And this is easier if you've got someone with a good headset, or if Valkyrie's somehow thrown a camera outside, or if you have Pulse sit with you. But if you're good at if your hearing's good, you can figure out where he's going to plant it just from that. And you wait for him to plant, and you quickly put down the shock wire. And the reason you wait and you don't preemptively place it is because if you do that, Thatcher can just throw an EMP and destroy it, and you really don't want that to happen. But if you can time this and break both the thermite charges, you cut them off from a way of entering the building, so you force them to go around the other way, so you have pretty much cover on one side of the building. You don't have to worry about them coming through the garage on those maps. But yeah, that's a tip, and I would say practice this and get good at listening out, and if you can master that, you will be invaluable to your team, because that is one very good tactic. So the last operator for the gold tier is Pulse, and believe it or not, I was actually rather hesitant to put him in this category because he's very, very skill dependent, I think anyway, and it takes a lot of clever thinking on the player's part when you're using him, because yes, you have the heartbeat sensor, but if you're not being quiet and you're just running around using it, you're going to get spotted. Even if you know they're there, they're going to hear you, because sound in this game is a big part of it. So when you're using it, you want to crouch, and he's easily the best roamer on the defending side. So take the M1014 shotgun, which has a fast fire rate with a pretty ridiculous range on it. I think it's borderline OP, and it hits silly hard. So flank around with that, and watch out for IQ, because she knows where you are. And because Pulse gets a buff, IQ inadvertently gets a buff every time Pulse does. And IQ is being run quite a lot now because of this reason. So then there's the UMP45, which is the slow fire rate SMG, and it kind of hits pretty hard, but it has a weird recoil pattern to it, so I don't like it too much. It kind of like bounces all over the place, I find. But I wouldn't run it with the iron sights. I would definitely suggest the holographic, and not with a silencer. You'd probably think, oh, take a silencer so they can't hear you. But the silencer kind of reduces the damage quite a lot on this gun, and you do not want to be just firing blanks. So, along with his roaming capabilities, there are more advanced tactics that you probably see quite a lot of people do, and that is to, if you can, put a C4 on a wall or a surface that is a high traffic area and wait for people to come along. Namely, you'll see people doing this on breach points. They will leave them uncovered or underneath the entrances of doors. Leave a C4 there, hold your pulse gadget, just keep watching, and then wait for them to pass over it and detonate it. This is incredibly satisfying. When you do it, you'll know what I mean. So, yeah. Try those out. If you can get good at it, then you'd become a very good Pulse player. But I would suggest just practicing until you get that nailed down. So, but also a tip that I have, and it's probably more of a exploit than anything, because I don't think you should be able to do it. But when you're holding down the gadget button to use it, if you want to quickly put it away to swap it out, because the thing I find the hardest to do is once you've put the gadget away, they could have moved in the time that it took you to do it. But if you just press the switch weapon button, which is triangle on the PS4 or Y on the Xbox One or whatever key it is on the PC, I'm not too sure what it is, he will skip the animation entirely. He just drops it and pulls out the last weapon that he has. And more often than not, if you're using a shotgun, you can just blast through the wall and kill them. So keep that in mind, and it will allow you to just pelt bullets through the wall, because usually they move by the time you've switched out your weapon and gone through the animation of doing so. So that is gold tier finished up. Now I'll go over to the silver tier, and the silver tier contains the operators that I find are either mediocre, nothing too special, or they're just situational. It doesn't mean they're bad. They could have gone into gold, but they're too situational, so they're going to go into silver. So first up is Mute, and I would have loved to have put this guy in the gold category because I have a soft spot in my heart for Mute. I've always enjoyed playing Mute. Even since the beta, I thought he's been one of my favourite defending operators. But despite having a buff recently and having a really good SMG, and his jammers being clutch as you like, I can't put him in gold tier because he's so easily countered by Thatcher, by Twitch, by IQ, by a well-placed grenade. Literally, you can breathe on his jams. Oh, it's countered. So I would say the best way to play him is as a hold the fort sort of character. You want to sit in the objective room and place these jammers down on the key walls, the ones that Thermite's going to breach through, the ones that leave you the most exposed. And if you manage to take Thermite out early on in the game, start moving these to doors and more important walls that aren't reinforced perhaps, and more in advantageous places so that they can't just drone the room and seek you out. You want to keep on the go with this guy, stay active. But most importantly is stopping Thermite, I would say, because despite having reinforced walls, Thermite can still open them. And if they're not jammed, or you don't have a shock wire attached to the wall, then they can still get through. And coming in at second place in the silver tier, and this is where I see a hell of a lot of people disagreeing with me, and I partly would agree with anything you're about to say, and that is Jaeger. And Jaeger is one of my favourite characters to play as on the defending side. He has one of the best gadgets. He has, I think, my favourite guns on the defending side. It's the C416, I think it's called, and the M87E shotgun. They're insanely good weapons, all round very good weapons. But the reason he's in this category and that is because his ADSs aren't good on hostage. You can place them away from the hostage, and you can place them in rooms that your friends are sitting in, holding, but I think this guy is best on secure area and bomb. The reason you'll see people use him in hostage isn't for his gadget. Half the time they won't even be placed down. They'll use him for his guns, and that's the reason I don't see him as very good at hostage, because that's kind of a selfish playstyle. You want to use characters that can benefit the team in hostage and not just for their weapons. So I would say on secure area you want to have these placed in not close together, because you will just end up wasting them, because they'll both like, say if you've got two on either side of a window, fuse fires in or a grenade thrown in, they will both shoot at the same time at one grenade. I know it's silly, but they will both shoot at it, so you will lose one charge on each of them. So what I like to do is place one by a window, one by a door, and one by another door. Spread them out, so grenades come flying in. You can, so like if it ends up in the back part of the room, a grenade will be taken out by one jammer, and the other one will be taken out by another ADS, and then another one will be taken out by another ADS. You want them spread out so they're not wasted. This guy is pretty good for roaming as well. He's fast. It's very fast, and his 416 is insanely good. It has a moderate rate of fire, little to no recoil, and does rather good damage. It's really good in the right hands. And if you stick an ACOG on it, it's good at range as well. And I've already spoke about the M870 shotgun, so you know how I feel about that. It's an insanely good gun. A lot of people use this operator, and I would recommend it. And I'd say he's one of the first ones you get if you're new to the game. So coming in at number 3 is Frost. Now, I see Frost as a better version of Capcom, because you have a lot more freedom and creativity with their traps. You can place them in more locations, you can be a lot more tactical with them. It's less of a luck game, and you have a lot more control over how they work. And I would say the best place to put these traps is underneath windows, the common windows they come in through. And if you're playing hostage, place them around the hostage with barbed wire. Barbed wire over the top of these traps or next to the traps, because the range on them is quite wide, they spread out when you put them down, is probably the best thing you can do, because it disguises them. It makes them a bit more difficult to see, and players don't tend to take double takes when they're the time is ticking down. They need to get the hostage. They need to go through this window quick, and if they know someone's watching the window that they're about to rappel through, half the time they want to keep their aim on you when they're swinging in. They don't want to look down and shoot the bear trap. That's another tip. If you know that the defending team has a bear trap and you're on the attacker's side, swinging through the window, but look down when you do it. Or alternatively, before you go in, is you could rappel up, change stance, look down upside down, if you know what I mean, and you could see part of the bear trap underneath the window. A lot of people still do this. It's an old tactic. It's been done since she was brought into the game, and I would say it's a very useful one. Another tactic with a shield is in a small corridor or in a doorway, put a deployable shield down and a bear trap behind it. And by small corridor, I mean the ones where you can't actually go round the shield. You kind of have to crouch down, peek, and shoot it. This is best so that you slow down the enemy team a great deal. Also, some players still will run into these, so it's a good idea to put them there. And this is why Frost is in the mediocre category, because I don't think she is a must pick. She's best on the game mode Hostage, and some maps are better than others for it, and some rooms on some maps are better than others for Frost. So that's my reasoning for putting her here. So Castle is our number 4 in this category, and he has the same loadout as Pulse minus the Nitro Cell, which is replaced with a deployable shield. Castle is the guy you want if you're looking to heavily fortify a room, and like I said earlier, is great comboed with smoke to keep the enemy out. But if you're going to pick Castle, you're basically going to have somebody pick Mute, because he's so easily countered by breaching charges and thermite, and Fuse can use this to just punch a little cluster charges through, that Mute is pretty important when you're playing as Castle as well. So remember, if you're picking Castle, take Mute. I would always take Mute if you're going to pick Castle. But he's just still so easily countered because there's 2 operators, Ash and Sledge, that can still take them out. So Sledge can just walk up to it, smack it open really quickly and run off. Ash can grenade launcher at a distance, and yeah, they can do it without making themselves vulnerable to, say, like a Pulse on the other side with his little gadget and then just C4s the window when you're about to breach it. Or Glaz can just puncture holes for it with his sniper rifle. You can also break these open with 12 hits, or with your melee attack, that is. But the main reason I would say to pick Castle is to slow the enemy down. He slows them down very well, especially if the last guy is, for example, Glaz. Glaz, if he's the last guy and takes smoke grenades for whatever reason, can't get in the room. And the amount of times I've seen this happen when the player's been on my team, picked Glaz, and had the smoke grenades, and this happens a lot on the map plane, don't know why, and they can't get in the room. They're just stuck there, just meleeing the door for ages, and then they open the door and just get shot. In situations like that, Castle can be handy, and that is the reason I've put him in the silver category. So the last operator in this category, and I did want to put him in bronze, is Capcan. Now, a lot of people seem to think he is a top tier, amazing operator now due to his most recent buff, but I still don't see him amazing, and that is the reason why he's in silver. His gadget literally is pure luck and relies on the enemy not focusing and being rather unaware of their surroundings. Like, they're still so easy to see. On some maps the lighting is off, so it's really faint, but you've got to be not focusing to walk into these things, and more often than not you've got to get lucky to get kills. I don't like this operator because it's just so luck reliant and no skill associated with it whatsoever. Although his SMG is really good, he has the worst shotgun in the game. The SASG-12 is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But like I said earlier, I seem to think that Frost is basically just a better version of Capcan because you have a lot more freedom to place traps around. You can be a lot more creative. There is actually some sort of thought process and skill to her traps. You can make your own luck with this and not just hope that people are going to like walk into the traps. But if you were to play Capcan, I would say hunker down in the objective room. You're far too slow to be roaming. Put your traps in high traffic areas. Now he has the ability to place it anywhere on the door. You can crouch to put it midway up, stand to put it on the head height, and if you look at the bottom of the door, you can place it at the bottom of the door like it was originally intended. But yeah, hunker down in the objective room, places in high traffic areas, and I would say place a few of them in doorways that the enemy doesn't suspect. So say if like someone's coming from the top of the building, you could be cheeky and place one on a door on their way down, so they're not suspecting it, so they're not thinking, oh, look, there could be a trap here, because most players seem to think if they see a Capcan, they expect traps to be on the doors closest to the objective room. So you can be kind of smart with this character and place them far away from the objective, and that's what I would suggest if you're going to play this character. So this now leaves us with the bronze category. And like I mentioned, this is for the operators that I think are the worst of the worst and I'd never pick. And first up, and you guessed it, is Tachanka. And despite his buff, where he could place the turret in more locations, get off of it quicker, deconstruct it faster, he's still terrible. Like, I honestly seem to think that if Ubisoft was to do anything to this operator, they'd have to give him an overhaul even, and just rethink his gadget altogether. And this isn't even due to his weapons. Like, he's not a bad operator because of those. He's very similar to Capcan, just his gadget's different. You would have thought a turret is like the most badass thing ever. Like, oh, it's a massive gun you can mount and just wreck people with. If you ever get a kill with this, it's literally because the enemy player's aim is shite. Because you're standing still. You're just a sitting duck with a huge gun, just waiting to be shot in the face. All they do is have to quick PQ, fire a shot, dead. One shot headshots in this game make Tachanka terrible, and I would rather see Tachanka just see a complete rethink, overhaul, whatever you like, whatever you want to call it, just redo it. But a suggestion I do have is, now, don't go mad, don't hate me for this, give him a shield similar to Blackbeard's, and it wouldn't be frustrating like Blackbeard's. It wouldn't be OP like Blackbeard's. It's because it would be fairly balanced, I think, and I don't think it'd be amazing. I think it'd be better / okay, pickable at times with this buff. But it's a deployable shield on his gun, and it would be similar to Blackbeard's. It wouldn't be the same shield. It would. I'll put a picture up with what I have in mind on the screen now. But it's I think he needs a rifle-mounted shield for that turret, because the fact that he's stationary is the reason that's so bad, that turret. But if I was to suggest a way to use him, I'd say hunker down in the corner of the objective room and put barbed wire at either door, and if you have a teammate that can put a deployable shield down, have a deployable shield at a small door, not the big open doors, and that way, if you have barbed wire at each door, you have sound cues, so you know they're coming, you can hear them coming towards your door, and that is what I'd suggest. Have barbed wires at the door, and have it so you can see as many windows as possible in the room, and just sit in the corner with cover at your back, like make sure the walls are reinforced behind you. And if you do that, you have more chances of surviving, at least. I don't know about getting kills, but surviving at least. And the barbed wire will help you a lot. So that just leaves us with Doc. And despite having the MP5, which is easily one of my favourite SMGs in the game, like I said earlier, I think Doc's useless. And you'll always hear that one guy who's like, well, I saw someone, or I went down, managed to revive myself, and then wipe the enemy team and clutch it. How often does that happen? How many times has that happened to you? Like, never happens. And half the time when he's getting himself back up, you just get shot mid-animation. So I don't think Doc's good, and more often than not, if you're against good players, or players that at least know what they're doing and have a brain, they're not going to down somebody and just think, sorry, I'll just let him bleed out. They're going to just shoot him when he goes down. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about Doc. Doc in a nutshell is bad. I would like to see it so that he has maybe one more stim, and his stim could also heal a flat like 25 health on somebody if you fired it at them. I think he'd be better with that, and it wouldn't make him OP. It would just make him usable, but even still, not that usable. I just think a slight buff, nothing drastic, and then he'd be fine. But if I had any tips to give you when playing Doc, it's not to roam. I'd play him very similarly to Rook and just hold a room, sit behind your deployable shield or barbed wires at the doors, sort of like Tachanka, and just hold the room. Just hold the room. Stay near your teammates as well, so you may get that lucky revive off on your teammate and then win the game, like I said. But that's what I've got for Rook, guys. Doc, sorry. I don't think he's amazing, and that's it, really. I hope this guide helped you better understand the operators and how they may best be used, and if you're new to the game, it may help you decide on which operators to buy first. This is just my opinion, so I'm sorry if I didn't rank one of your favourite operators higher. This is just based off my own experiences. If you have a different opinion on the rankings, then leave it in the comments down below. I'd like to see what you guys think. Also, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. I'll be making a video like this for the attacking operators in the near future. Subscribe for more Rainbow Six Siege content, and I shall see you in the next one.
Main door behind white van. Go left.
Fuck you all!
Nice. Oh my god, you won.
You're you beast today.
She fucking
Jaffa cake.
What is that?